All right, guys. I made it through a lot of off-camera stuff here in the middle. We have had a interesting transfer window so far, and I thought I would just go ahead and give you a little preview of what to expect this next season. So we are playing once again against a Kiwancha Sports Group, this time at home. We have a 2-1 advantage, and that means that if we win this, of course, we go on. Who do we play against next? Well, I'm not quite sure. Where exactly it is that we go, but we'll go to play against probably, I don't know, maybe the West Asia zone champion or something like that. We'll play against somebody. We'll probably be up here in this interzone thing. So, whatever happens. If we win this, of course, we get 353,000 euros. If you go back here, look at our finances, we currently have 287,000 euros. So there's a good chance that we'll have a lot of success in terms of finances. I mean, even if we lose, it's going to be a real big deal for us. We're finally getting close to spending our wage budget, believe it or not. We do have a bit of a transfer budget remaining as well, so all of which is pretty good for us. And as far as the scouting budget is concerned, I did make sure that we are scouting all of Taiwan, which is the reason why the scouting budget is over at 21,000 euros. So it's a pretty good idea. We're going to see what happens and how far we get in the AFC Cup. If we get far enough and this gets into 7 figures, which very much might happen, I think I'm going to ask the board to take the club professional, which would be helpful in terms of stopping other teams from just coming over and swooping away our players. Speaking of which, we have had a number of transfers in. They were trying to get Husherchan out, and of course that didn't work. So look at our transfer history here. We brought a bunch of guys in. We talked a little bit before about Cai Xiangwei, who you saw in this morning's match. Cai Xiangwei comes in from Athletic Club Taipei, where he had 6 goals, 9 assists in 19 matches, 7.42 average rating. He had played for us before. He'd been on the team before, and we had released him, or either that or Chinese Petroleum bought him. They may have just bought him off of us. That might have been what happened. I can't remember. And so, he comes back on. He looks really good. He's an international with a lot of experience. His current ability is a star player in the league, though he's only 21, and he plays in that attacking midfielder role, which means that we have a problem. And you already know what the problem is. The problem is that we have a bunch of players who can play up in that role. He's going to play in our next match along with Nene and Ndaye, and the reason why is because Silla is suspended, having too many yellow cards. And so as long as that sort of thing happens, and there's going to be a place for Cai Xiangwei, if that doesn't happen and we do have the 3 foreign players together, it's going to be him basically kind of working his way into the squad one position at a time. But he looked absolutely awesome in that last match. And so he's one to be really excited about. We've had a couple of other signings too that I think are people to get excited for. This is the most recent one, Yu Wei, a central defender who we also picked up from Athletic Club Taipei, 7.16 average rating, has 19 appearances for them last season and had 2 Player of the Match awards. He comes in and is another star player, another current international, also doesn't have any of those cons that we're trying to stay away from. He's only 18 years old. And so this guy, we're very, very happy to have him on our side. He's going to be a star player for us. We can't play him in the next match because he's not registered. And so we still have to stick out the likes of, Huang Chiwei. Huang Chiwei is all right. He likes big matches, which is nice, but he's probably not of the quality that we need to be able to compete in Pan-Asia, but we'll probably keep him on for a little while. So as you can imagine, I think I showed this to you before. If we go over to our registration, we have, in terms of, this is the cup, we need the league. In terms of the league itself, we have 32 players registered, which is a little bit too much. I'm going to have to go through probably off camera and probably after the AFC Cup adventures are done, and I'm going to have to really sort of sort my way through all of this. Speaking of which, when is it that we expect these next rounds to come through is the big question. So let's see here. We're looking for this interzone nonsense. It looks like that is going to happen in the summer if we do make it that far. So chances are that 1, 2, 3, 4, and I guess South Asia's, I don't know where South Asia's winner goes, but they're combined with something. And so, if we make it to that area, if we get past, the final here and into this interzone in which we have 40,000 round appearance fee, especially if we can make it here to this final, which would give us quite a bit. We'll have that probably happen in the summer, at which point these players will probably be pretty well schooled and will know what it is that they're doing. Man, we had 12,000 plus for that last match, which was also televised. So we'll see what happens in this next one. Our league doesn't really start until April, so after this next match, which will be tomorrow, I'll have quite a bit of a gap to play through. We'll start, depending on what happens, we'll start arranging a bunch of friendlies, try to get these guys used to playing with each other, and we'll see what happens in the end. I always like looking here to see what the preview is like. Now, the transfer window is still open, but when you look at this, we really are favorites to win. We've got 1 to 91 odds on winning the league again. I would be very curious to see if we could go through this season undefeated. I think having the new tactic helps a lot, and I really don't see any other team competing with the sort of power that we have. We're very good out there, and just taking a quick look at some of these other players in the Media Dream 11. This one, who is this guy? Lin Chung-Tong. I'm not sure. Did he play for us before? He did not. This is a good example of Football Manager doing something sneaky, right? So this guy is a new gen who was created, who's 27 years old, who's playing for Leopard Cat. I think Leopard Cat was just promoted. I think that's what's going on. If we look at their team, they're probably going to have a couple of players that we haven't really looked at. So we'll take a look at a whole bunch of these guys and see if we can find other players that we can sort of sneak off of them. If that guy potentially is interested in coming over, we could use another player playing on the left wingback position and stick him in. I mean, if he is a Taiwanese national, that's the sort of player that we want to see. We'll see what happens. As it stands now, if we go over to the squad planner, take a look at that, we still have Feng Xiaoqi up there. And the other one is this guy, Liu Chiyuan, who I like the personality. He's driven. I like the fact that he can play there. He looks like a natural, but he's just not quite up to that level quite yet. He can't be on the under 18s because he's too old, so we will start playing him. That's one of the things you're going to see is a little bit different here this coming season. I mean, you're going to see more game time from him. You'll probably see more game time from this guy, Wang Xiangwei, who I think can play here on that right side. Yeah, he can. That's probably, I guess, where we're going to play him. I don't know. What are we doing here with his training? We're not doing anything with his training, so we'll figure that out probably offline a little bit, decide whether we want to play him there or we want to stick him up here. He does show up there as well. We'll try to give a little bit more time for guys like that. We'll do a better job here with the midfielders, so we won't have Bomba play up there, of course. Chen Chengju is the big question, right? Do we want to stick with this guy or not? Everybody says he's a surplus to requirements, even though his current ability is a leading player. He's a current international. I mean, we're not just going to get rid of this guy. His appearances for us last season were just amazing. He had 1 goal, could have done a little bit better in that department. Lots of shots that were off range, 4 assists, 7.19 average rating. But it's a question, right? It's a question about, who it is that we really want to put in, right? Xu Xiangjie is a guy who we just purchased. I had to overpay for him. He was from Taiwan Power. I've had to give him a pretty large and hefty contract with a whole bunch of bonuses because he wanted more money than we could offer him. And it's only a 1 year. That's all that he wanted out of it. They're saying, he's an exciting young prospect. He is 21 years old, so he's not really that young. He potentially, they're not going to say this about him in the media yet, but I mean, this is a potential wonder kid. We want to try to get him up and playing in one of these 2 roles to try to get him trained. Then we have your average, other guys. I mean, these 2 are really center backs. Like I said, I'm going to have to go through and sort of clean this up. Same thing with the strikers. We have far too many of them, or the shadow strikers. We really only want to have about 6 guys here. And so, Yao Gochi, who doesn't have any caps, I just realized. He had 2 performances, scored 2 goals, 8.20 average rating. But, this guy's probably not good enough to play with us. He's like 30-something years old, 31. Right, so we'll probably get rid of him, and then some of these other guys down at the bottom we'll probably get rid of. So we'll see what happens. We'll see how the squad looks in the end. Above all, though, I think that we look like an improved squad from last season. I think that the biggest question that we have is here on the left side. Like I said, if we can get, that player we were just looking at, if he's actually good enough, if we can get him to come over and play left wing back for us, that would help a lot. We still have some time in the current transfer window. So if we go look at the rules, let's see here. We have until April 15th. It is February 14th, so we still have 2 in-game months. That's, as you know, more than enough time for us to get these players scouted. We've already gone through just about everybody. There are only a couple other players that we're really looking at, Some of these guys probably are not going to be willing to come to us anyway, but you never know. Some of these guys, we might be able to sort of sneak them in, and we'll see what happens. We went out and we tried to get as many players as we could to come on over. So take a look here at the development center as well and just see if we have anybody coming through, but not really. They're saying that Wu Yu Chun might be good. This guy is another one that, no, he's one who's actually homegrown. How about that? Imagine me not going out and buying young players all the time. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. We'll see if he develops to that level or not. It's kind of difficult here, right? Because you get these players who are like 18, 17, 18 in your first team squad, and some of them are really not quite good enough to play. And you're like, okay, so what do we do? Now some of them probably should continue playing, like Liu Chunjie, who I think if he plays more, probably is good enough to really do something good for us. He had an okay season last year, but I mean, we just brought in a center back, this guy Yu Yu Wei, who's obviously clearly better than him. So, I mean, I don't know. We'll see what we do. The goal again for this next season, so in terms of like the save overall and what it is that we're trying to do next season, naturally we want to win the league. It would be awesome if we could win the AFC Cup. If we get to the AFC Champions League next season, that will probably change my thinking about the save a lot. But I don't think that we would ever stand a chance of winning it because the Taiwanese players are just not quite good enough. My goal is to get as high as we can here in the AFC Cup, hopefully to have enough money to turn this team into a professional team. We want, as always, to, let's see if I can find it here. We go over to, not to general, it's facilities that we go to. So we want to try our best to get the youth facilities and training facilities up. It's going to take a while for that to happen. And of course, as always, youth coaching and junior coaching, we want to get those up as well, so that we can have players who actually want to come here, and we can get players actually developed and stop seeing guys come here and just have their ability go downhill. But yeah, like I said, the hardest thing about this is you get these 18, 19, 20-year-old players that you want to hold on to for the future, but you can't put them out on loan because they're not actually on contract with you, and like nobody would take them on loan. So we'll see what we can do. Like I said, our goal again is to try to win the league as always. We want to do as good as we can here in the AFC Cup and hopefully get quite a bit of money out of this, because that's where the real money is going to come from. And if we can get these finances up a bit and we can become professional, and once we sort of get that step taken, I think we'll have a little bit more luck at getting players to come over. We can start loaning players out because they'll actually be on contract, and we can really start getting something developed here. So, I mean, there you have it. It's not exactly build a nation, but it's sort of more like a build the club save that it's turning into. And that's kind of what happens in Football Manager. I mean, you just sort of go with it and say, okay, well, we'll see what happens. We'll see what comes up. I don't have a whole lot of expectations from like exactly what I want to see happen. We'll just sort of roll with the punches, go with the flow, and see where the game takes us. And if the game takes us to Taiwan for years and years, then we'll play in Taiwan for years and years and see what we can develop here. In terms of your in-game manager's ability to go to different places and to do different things, going to a country, saving a team from relegation and turning them into a regional power is definitely a good sign. So I mean, I don't know. We'll see what we can do. We'll see how far we can get. The sky might be the limit, and it's going to be a lot of fun to sit back and enjoy it. So there you go. I will talk with you again tomorrow, and I'm not sure how much I'm looking forward to 2 more months of hitting continue, in-game months that is, but that's kind of what happens. I signed up for this. So talk to you then. Bye.